Well, good evening, or good afternoon, excuse me. Thank you so much for coming out, braving some of the chilly weather, but I want to apologize for the cold since we don't have any snow on the ground. So I will say the white word since we are ready for it out here. But nonetheless, I want to thank everyone for coming out on this Wednesday, early January, for some very exciting news out here at the airport, at Abraham Lincoln Capital Airport. I may get a little wordy and lengthy in some of my comments, but it's only to illustrate to the group and to the community how important and how significant today really is for our community. Before I get started, I would like to recognize everyone in the crowd. There isn't any single one of you that isn't any more important than the person standing next to you, but I do want to introduce and recognize a few of our community leaders that are here today, and also I may miss someone, but please forgive me. I have Alderman Jim Donelon out here, Representative Tim Butler, Representative Sarah Wojcicki Jimenez, there she is, representing the Airport Authority Board, Herman Bodavis. Herman Bodavis is our vice chair with the Airport Authority, also the chair of our Admin and Operations Committee as well. I know we have a number of board trustees with Lincoln Land Community College that'll certainly reserve that for Dr. Warren to recognize as well. We certainly have a lot of representatives from the FAA, the Air Traffic Control Tower, the Flight Standards District Office across the field, Standard Aero, one of our corporate tenants out here at the airport as well. It's a very significant operation on the north end of the airfield. So I'll get started. On behalf of Frank Valla, who is our chairman of the Springfield Airport Authority. He, unfortunately, you should be listening to him right now, but unfortunately, he is not able to be with us. He had an unfortunate situation come up, and he just is not able to make it today. So you'll have to bear with me and listen to me for a majority of today's events. To go back in history for quite some time, nearly 40 years ago, actually over 40 years ago, some of you in this room may remember Capital Aircraft. Capital Aircraft actually was housed and stood up in this building directly to the east of here. Two buildings, what we call on the Airport Authority or on the airport, hangars 4 and 5. In 1976, Capital Aircraft was bought by Garrett Aviation. And Garrett, I know for a lot of people in Springfield, is near and dear to your hearts, and that's what we know, the large operation, many of us know the large operation on the north end of the airport. Over the years, Garrett certainly has changed names, as we all know. Garrett Aviation was bought by, it was changed to Landmark, and now it's Standard Aero. There's a little bit of history there to underscore the significance of how much actual aviation technical maintenance and overhaul work has been done at the airport for so many years. When we see the size of these hangars next door to what that operation has grown to over the years, it's incredible, and there is room for more growth, as we've learned recently as well. A number of years ago, when there was a burst or a growth in the business aircraft manufacturing, refurbishing, overhaul work, a number, as I understand the history, a number of Lincoln Land Community College trustees really were activated to help stand up an aviation maintenance program, and they were able to acquire numerous training aids and assume the facility next door, as we know today, as Lincoln Land Community College's aviation maintenance program, where students go through the program. It's an 18-month program to become certified as an aircraft mechanic, and what we call in the industry an A&P, an airframe and power plant technician. And over the years, the communication and the relationship with Garrett and Lincoln Land and Garrett and Landmark, and now Garrett and Standard Aero, kind of had ebbed and flowed as far as the demand for students and for that trade to come out of the schools such as Lincoln Land Community College for these technical trades. Just recently, we learned that Standard Aero is seeing a surge in activity at their facility across the field. It's something that wasn't necessarily expected, certainly in the industry at this point in time. But this last fall, we learned from Standard Aero when they had some of their leadership team in town. They had the governor present and a very significant announcement over at Standard Aero that they were in a significant growth stage. At that point in time, this last fall, they needed at least 50 additional employees. And these 50 employees is going to grow to 100 next year, which is now 2016. As we understand, they have a number of unfilled positions. They have a lot of orders for work to be done. And as I understand, they want to grow their job vacancies to fill nearly 100 of these positions this next year. Now, the Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Labor, and of their division, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, actually it's carved out when you do some searches for these jobs, specifically here in Sangamon County. The wage scales for some of these positions is between $59,000 and over $90,000, and these are very significant jobs. And as I see it in the industry, and many of us in this room, I know we have a number of students and folks here that are in the industry, they understand how difficult it is right now in the pilot arena. There are a lot of airlines that are having a pilot shortage, but there is also a great need for these AMPs, these airframe and power plant technicians at many different levels. And it's very competitive. When you have a plant, these aircraft can go anywhere to have this maintenance done. In a recent conversation with leadership at Standard Aero is they are just as ever committed to the Springfield facility today as they were this last fall when they originally made that announcement. So we are on track to continue to support them and to retain those jobs and help them grow right here in Springfield. It's significant for each and every one of us and the community as a whole. Now, to go back in some history, we didn't necessarily anticipate a huge spike in growth as we just heard a few months ago, but we did know that there was a need for Lincoln Land Community College to grow and further develop their program. If you haven't been over next door, I know some of you have been over and visited Lincoln Land Community College's aviation maintenance program. It's a very interesting program, and they are operating out of a modular type of office classroom unit that isn't necessarily 100% conducive for learning and these technical trades that they're doing, and it does not allow them to grow to maybe where they think they need to be, financially, and also to support the workforce development needs right here in Springfield across the airport. So nearly 6 years ago, it was actually over 6 years ago, we started working with Lincoln Land Community College. At the time, Jim Van Cleek was the program director who has passed some time back, but his fingerprints are all over what you'll see today. It was his vision that has been injected into what we will share with you here in a few moments. And we were trying to find ways to fund this expansion, to find a way to make additional classrooms adjacent to the hangar to keep the learning, the hands-on learning, and the technical instruction in the classroom very accessible and efficient. So you can go from a block of instruction in a classroom directly into the hangar, and by trying to find a space that is close to the hangar. And we've looked at a number of different options, and we kept coming back to actually locating and building classrooms, additional classroom space directly to the north side of the hangar that would free up shop space where the modular unit is currently being situated, and that will allow for more students to have classroom seats as well as accommodate those students on the shop floor with additional training aids and with their technical instruction suites that they have set up. We have not been able to find a source of funds to do this. We have, in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, the Airport Authority, and also Lincoln Land Community College, this was one of the top priority projects that we carried to Washington a number of years ago. Of course, in concert with high-speed rail relocation, and I can't forget that. But this was a top priority for our community at that point in time, to seek funds to help support the expansion and construction of modern classrooms for Lincoln Land Community College. We have also worked for a number of years with DCO at the state level to try to find funds for facility upgrades for classroom instruction for these technical trades that can have a direct impact immediately on our local economy with job creation. To no avail, we kept running into roadblocks. And it wasn't until Standard Aero made this announcement that we knew that this was a critical piece of our employment base, not here at the airport, but throughout the entire community, the city and the county, that we don't have time to lose, especially with what we're seeing with the competitiveness in the jobs environment throughout the nation. Is we cannot let this opportunity go. We needed to take action and find a way to get this done so we can continue to fill the pipeline with these technical trades to support Standard Aero and their vision for growth here in Springfield. Our chairman, Chair Valla, reached out to Mr. Levi, with President and CEO of Levi, Ray and Schaub, and discussed this with Mr. Levi and told him how critical this is for the community. For a long time, this is not a shot in the arm, build it and they will come. They are already here. They be in the jobs. They're here in Springfield. The vacancies are there to be looked at, and we also have the facilities, a quality instructional staff with Lincoln Land Community College, and certainly an airport that wants to be a partner with all to underscore the importance of job creation and economic development throughout the community. And I really see this as economic development in the purest form, in that we were able to secure private funds from someone in the community that understands how important education and technical trades and retaining jobs and keeping things local and staying local to make this happen. So what has happened? Mr. Dick Levi, President and CEO of Levi, Ray and Schaub, who is our host today in the hangar. You can obviously see that he is a friend of aviation, a fan of aviation, and understands the joys that people can have, and a very long career, and a fruitful and an exciting career for people. And it was with that relationship, as I understand, with Mr. Valla reaching out and visiting with Mr. Levi about how important this really is and how time is of the essence to take advantage of this opportunity to help sustain jobs, grow jobs with a very significant employer here on the airfield. You know, Standard Aero is not new to this as well. The roots of capital aviation, capital aircraft, going back some over 40 years. Standard Aero themselves have been in business for over 100 years. They have been in the aviation business since 1911. And they are here, they're well managed, and they've got great leadership, and they have new ownership and new equity that is being invested, as we understand, as you can certainly find that's available in public research. So this is very significant in that Mr. Levi and LRS have donated $850,000 to Lincoln Land Community Foundation. The monies will come back to the Airport Authority as we will build the facilities for Lincoln Land Community College, as they are a tenant or a lessee on the airport. They do not own the facility, and the facility needs to be leased back to them. However, the new facility will not have any additional cost to Lincoln Land Community College as far as rents and leases to the Airport Authority. And we are building this because it's on our property, and the Airport Authority, through certain rules and regulations and grant assurances, would have to retain ownership or assume ownership of the facility at some point in time anyway. And this is how I understand is the easiest way also for Lincoln Land to acquire the facilities that they need to grow their program. So So with that, I know that's somewhat a very long-winded discussion, but I cannot underscore the heritage and the history and the significance of what is going to be happening next door throughout the upcoming months as it relates to job creation and developing aviation trades and supporting the local business and our local economy as well. So from an airport's perspective, there's more to an airport than just air service. I know that's what we all like to talk about around the kitchen table, but I will tell you that we can't fly from here to our vacation spots without those people flying and maintaining these aircraft. And that's exactly what we're doing. This is an integral piece to the entire aviation industry right here in Springfield. So the community ought to be proud of that, and take ownership of it, and really we hope that you embrace this as we certainly look forward to good things to come, not only with Lincoln Land Community College and their efforts, but also with Standard Aero, as this again is not a one-time shot in the arm. This is a facility that will be here for years to come and will serve tenants on the airfield, and will also provide opportunities for the graduates throughout the country. As the Bureau of Labor Statistics will also say, in addition to supporting directly aviation jobs, these jobs that these graduates can aspire to go outside of aviation: facilities management, facilities operations, gas and coal extraction jobs that are out there, to name a few. Green technology devices, design and manufacturing of turbines and windmills and things like that. So there are a number of applications that these graduates can apply their degree and these certifications to. So with that, I will terminate my comments, and I am going to introduce you to Mr. Dick Levi, President and CEO of Levi Ray and Shout, and then Mayor Langfelder will also provide a few comments, as well as Chairman Van Meter and Dr. Warren, President of the Lincoln Land Community College. But before we turn it over to Mr. Levi, I would like each one of our special guests to stand astride one of our easels here, and we will unveil what we've been working on for the last 6 years. And at your leisure and at your pleasure, you know, go ahead, and all you have to do is pull it back. So we will be adding on directly. And Joe Petty with Joe Petty and Associates, J.H. Petty and Associates, is the designer and has been invested in this project for 6 years, working with Lincoln Land staff, the airport, to get this just right from day one. And we also have a few more boards in the back that do highlight the layout of the classroom. And as you can see here, the exteriors and a collage of the interior classrooms, and it will be appropriately named, as you see here, LRS, Levi Ray and Shout Incorporated Aviation Center at Lincoln Land Community College. So without any further delay, Mr. Dick Levi, thank you so much.
Good afternoon. A few months ago, I got a call from my good friend Frank Valla, and he said, how about $850,000 for a Lincoln Land training building at the airport? And I'm like, how much? But anyway, that's how it started. We've been out here with our own hangar, I think, 15 or 20 years, so it's going to be our next door neighbor. I don't know how they chose which plane to leave in here, but it so happens the one that's here was recently, within the last few months, redone by Standard Aero, and you can see they did a really nice job. It's that plane's 15 years old, and it looks like brand new. They did the interior and exterior and all that. But anyway, I'm really truly pleased to be able to do something like this for the community. Helps with education, jobs, economy, and all those kinds of things. And honestly, LRS is fortunate to have the means to do something like this, and it makes me really proud. This is my hometown and my community, and when I can do things like this that helps everyone else, it makes me and everyone else at our office very proud. So thank you for coming, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Levi, for your generosity. As mayor, this is one of the good times. You know, we get questioned in the bad times and the good times, and Mayor Mike Houston, who's on the Capital Airport Authority Board, as one of my appointees, I appreciate his attendance today, but he can also share the insight that this is what builds Springfield. You know, people ask all the time, you know, how do you spur economic development? This is at its core. Because what you have is Capital Airport, that's been around for decades. You have Standard Aero, that's been around. LRS, that's a mainstay in Springfield. And my alma mater, Lincoln Land Community College. And I really have to tip my hat to Mark Hanna, the Executive Director of Capital Airport. 6 years is persistence, and that's what it takes for economic development. And it's just not that persistence working with the Chamber of Commerce, the county, the city. And what's great about this project, it didn't need any of our dollars, right, Andy? Right. That's the best thing. You know, it didn't need city funds or county funds. These are private dollars that made this happen. And it's the partnership across economic sectors. You have the transportation sector, you have the educational sector, and the business sector coming together. But the core of this was the Capital Airport Authority Board, as well as Executive Director Mark Hanna and his initiative to keep and carrying on that initiative. He identified the need with regards to Standard Aero, and then he partnered them up with Lincoln Land Community College, and then they found someone that would have the wherewithal to make this happen. And so I'm grateful and thankful, and on behalf of the City Council, the residents of Springfield, myself, I really congratulate you and thank everybody involved, but especially to Dick Levi and LRS for your generosity and all you do for Springfield. Thank you very much.
My job also is to say thank you. The airport board is appointed jointly by the mayor and the county board. This project has been at the top of the community's to-do list for at least a decade. Before high-speed rail, this tantalizing project has been on our to-do list. And it was so tantalizing because we knew if we could achieve it, we could secure Standard Aero here in the community, and we could also secure these additional high-paying jobs for the community. So we've spent, with a number of mayors, Mayor Houston as well, we went traipsing all over Washington looking for money for this project. We went traipsing all over the state capitol looking for money. And lo and behold, the money was right here in our community in the form of a very generous citizen of this community. This board, the airport board, I think has been extraordinarily bold and innovative in a number of instances, air service to the community and in building the other infrastructure of the airport. I don't think a day like today is possible without someone as bold as Frank Valla, who would step up and ask for $850,000, or for somebody as generous as Levi Ray and Shoup, and in particular Dick Levi, whose name you'll find inscribed on so many worthy charities in this community. And as a community, as a county, we are extremely grateful to you, Mr. Levi. Thank you.
Well, as the last person to say thanks, and as one who has been part of the traipsing around the country for monies, along with a board of trustees who I wanted to recognize that are here today. My board, Kent Gray, who has been involved in this since the days the program started and saying we need more. He's still looking for an engine for us. Craig Finley, who was our board chair, who, talking about economic development, had an article in Sunday's SJR that you might want to look at that talks about the community college as an economic driver. Jerry Wesley, a member of the board, Wayne Rosenthal, Justin Reichart, Jeff Fulgenzi, Madison Baker, our student trustee, and Dennis Shackelford, I hope I didn't forget anyone. We also have foundation members here who help us with these issues and who help with the money coming through Lincoln Land to be able to get back to the Airport Authority and handle this, and we appreciate all they do. Would our foundation board members please raise your hand? Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We also, and mostly, are very appreciative of Levi Ray and Schaub, which allows us to expand our aviation program. Since 2000, Lincoln Land has continually improved the program with new equipment and learning environment enhancements. Our trustees have had a great vision, and they have lobbied locally, the state, and nationally to garner monies for our growth. Trustee Kent Gray, in particular, has worked diligently toward this end. Mark Hanna, the Aviation Authority, and Frank Valla, along with the Chamber, have also been strong advocates. However, until now, we've been limited by our facilities. The program size and offerings have been challenged due to need for increased and improved classrooms. This new addition will give us a critical space that we need for up-to-date classrooms, while allowing us to free up space in the hangar for more equipment and hands-on training. Lincoln Land Community College has the only aviation mechanics program in Central Illinois. The centrally located program and regionally approved program is available to residents of 23 community college districts at Lincoln Land's in-district cost. That means there is a tremendous need for our graduates, and that need is growing right here in our community. Our aviation mechanics graduates are in high demand, and the expansion of this program will allow more students to train for and to enter a secure career in their field. We look forward to being able to attract more students and to supplying the community with the workforce needed. Again, thanks to the Airport Authority for partnering with us, thanks to the Lincoln Land trustees for their continued vision, and a special thank you to Levi Ray and Schaub for making this dream become a reality. Thank you.